listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, celebrating 25 years of broadcasting. Broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X-Zone comes to you Monday through Friday right here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, on the Mutual Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, and across Europe on Radio X. If you'd like to send us an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our radio website where you can find out what we've been up to, what we're doing, as well as what we're going to be doing in the future at xzonerradio.com. X-Zone Nation, my guest this hour is Gary FOUTZ, and he's the founder of Unsolved Mysteries and Unknown Sightings. He's a native of Roanoke, Virginia, and his specialties are cryptozoology, paranormal UFOs, and he's been in this field for about 40 years and has had some very interesting cases. Now, Gary was on the show not that long ago, and but we're going to be talking to Gary about everything this hour. Like I said, cryptozoology, paranormal, and UFOs. And joining me now is Gary FOUTZ. And Gary, welcome back to the X-Zone.
Well, it's good to be back with you, Rob.
So tell us a little bit about your group and what your group does and what kind of cases you like to investigate.
Well, our group, we investigate, like haunted houses or businesses. We also investigate reports of Bigfoot or Bigfoot sightings, any kind of strange creatures that may be out there, and UFO sightings. We don't get too many of them, but when we do, we try to use, our group kind of tries to, what I'm trying to say is we try to debunk what we can of these sightings. We try to look for logical explanation. And sometimes, like 80% of it you can debunk, and the other 20% you can't. And that's basically what we do.
Tell me, have you found in the last little while that reports of the paranormal, including cryptozoology and UFOs, are on an increase, or do you find them kind of just, staying the status quo?
I think cryptozoology especially has risen up into the news. More people are talking about it. There's more reports than it was. As far as UFOs, it's still about the same, I think. And as far as the paranormal, you have thousands and thousands of paranormal groups in the United States, not counting all over the world.
Right.
So I think that the interest in the paranormal has also gone up, especially because of TV programs and whatnot.
But are those TV programs, in your opinion, are they an asset to credible paranormal investigators, or are they a hindrance?
I think that the very first ones that on was pretty credible.
Right.
Now they've gotten to the point where I've watched them, and I really think that they have gone to the point where they're more a theater type show, or either that or comedy. I mean, there's one show that is just unbelievable, and that deals with cryptozoology, actually.
All right, we'll talk about that show and other shows when we come back from this commercial break. Exonation, our guest this hour is Gary FOUTZ, and Gary is the founder of Unsolved Mysteries and Unknown Sightings, and we'll both be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone. Don't go away.
Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold. You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Wilda Wiecka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we will weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Wilda Wiecka, and the Science of Magic right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Starr began to demonstrate a metaphysical connection to the spirit world as a little girl. Her family noticed the connection, but it was a great-grandmother who told the family that Linnea was indeed gifted. The great-grandmother, who was also gifted, felt that Linnea had indeed inherited these attributes. It has been noticed that oftentimes such things are passed down through the generations. Linnea was also born with a caul, a thin white membrane across a newborn's face. Legend has it that if the baby is born with this caul, the child will have second sight, or what we call psychic abilities. Linnea Starr does past, present, and future, and has the gift of prophecy. It is written within scriptures that if you are able to give factual information, and prophecies indeed come true, the gift indeed comes from the divine realm. Linnea Starr does large interactive groups as well as private gatherings. For more information on Linnea Starr or to contact Linnea for a one-on-one consultation, visit her website at www.linneastar.com. That's www.linneastar.com. Gary FOUTZ is our special guest this hour, X Zone Nation. He is the founder of Unsolved Mysteries and Unknown Sightings. And before we went to the break, Gary, we were talking about the so-called reality shows, and I asked you if they were an asset or a hindrance to investigators like yourself. And I agree with you. They've gone off of the reality track, and they're getting right into sensationalism these days. And do you think that this is going to have a negative effect on the hardcore, legitimate investigators like you and your group?
Well, I don't think it's going to affect us, but I think newcomers into the field, it's going to affect them because I don't know how many people I have seen online talk about the stuff that they've seen, and that most of it is fictional or either a legend, such as in cryptozoology. If you had a show and you were seeing that many cryptos every week or every time you do a show, and this is a question I asked everybody. Wouldn't you think that scientists from all over the world would be coming to that area just to see if they could get some sort of DNA or evidence that this crypto, exists, and that they would have to be, protected some way? That's been my big question all along. You have some credible shows on, but then you have some that just goes way out of the reach of credible.
Speaking about cryptozoology, are there sightings of Bigfoot in Virginia?
Actually, yes. There's a gentleman actually up in Wytheville, Virginia, and he is a Bigfoot hunter.
Right.
Him here on the local TV station, and he has prints. I don't know how many he has said he saw in the area, and then, of course, we have two investigations ourselves that we have to look at. We was kind of waiting for the weather to break, and so we have reports of knocks. We have reports of screams, which I told the gentleman when he told me that, I said, well, a mountain lion will, when it screams out, it sounds like a woman screaming, actually. And so he said this was no mountain lion. It was nothing he'd ever heard before. So, I'm not going to call anybody a liar because there's just too many reports of it. I mean, you have people out there that will dress up in a gorilla suit just to get on YouTube, and that's just foolish, I think. But you just have too many credible reports for it to be fake.
Have you seen any physical evidence during your investigations into the claims that people have seen Bigfoot? Have you found scat? Have you found any hair tufts? Have you found any Bigfoot in encampments? Anything?
Encampments, yes, we have. Actually, we found some tree markings. When I say tree markings, where it looks like the tree's been pulled down instead of wind blowing it over. And there is a difference. And sometimes you'll see limbs that's been broke, but they could be, and usually those type of limbs are fresh limbs where you could go out and break a little twig off and you see the green in it and it's still not broke all the way through. So when you see one that's kind of high where you can't reach it, then something broke it. Now that could be a bear climbing a tree for all I know. But we went up here pretty close to Roanoke and did an we've done a daytime investigation. And we did find what looked like, and it really resembled an Iroquois Indian hut back 10,000 years ago. It was sticks, limbs, leaves, you name it, was piled up on this thing, and it had a pretty big entrance to it. We went down, took a look at it, but we stayed our distance because you don't know whether there's a mountain lion in there. You don't know if it's a bear in there. You don't know what's in them things. We have a remote control car that we can send inside with a camera, and it's night vision.
Right.
Send that in there and see, and I would rather for that to be thrown out, be thrown out. But it's really strange how this structure was made, and it doesn't look man-made, but there again, a bear, I don't think a bear could do it or anything else. It had to be something intelligent.
So with all the reports of Bigfoot, not only in Virginia, Gary, how come here we are in an age of modern technology, computers, every cell phone has a high-definition camera in it, and there are thousands of people who go out looking for Bigfoot, and still no concrete evidence to the existence of this very elusive creature?
Well, if this creature does exist, I think it's a very intelligent creature. I think that it's a primate. It would be a primate, like half human, half animal, but has the instincts of knowing when to hide and how to hide, and actually, living out in the woods, that's his home, and he knows the hiding places, and he knows how to get around and sneak up on you if he wanted to. If this creature does exist, I think he's a pretty smart creature. The most credible. I mean, we've had a lot of some credible videos, but the Patterson video has been deemed as real, and so it's just like I said before. You look on YouTube, you see this and you see that, and you sometimes wonder, do you believe that, or is that set up, or just what? It's just the age of video now, and people can do and edit anything they want to do.
That's right. So
go ahead.
So where do we go from here, Gary? Here we are, all this speculation about Bigfoot. Is it possible that Bigfoot is, as some Bigfoot investigators believe, to be an interdimensional being? Other people believe that Bigfoot is actually an extraterrestrial. Based on your experience, based on the investigations that you've done, in your opinion, Gary, what is Bigfoot?
Well, I'm still sticking with the primate. I think that it could be a primate that we've never even seen before. I mean, you go back into the 1800s, people didn't have any way to report stuff like that back then. Of course, I would imagine if somebody did see one, they usually had a gun, they would shoot it, probably. Right. But it's sort of interesting that you brought that up, because you remember the last show that you had me on was talking about the Wytheville UFO Incident. And there was a report given to us about a gentleman who had gone, it was a little community outside of Wytheville, was going up the road one night, and he had slowed down. He saw something in the road, and when he said that he got up on it, it looked like this creature was, he said, about 8 foot tall and looked like a lizard. He said he took off with a high rate of speed, and this thing kept up right behind him with that same amount of speed, and had got his claws onto the car and ripped the back of the trunk open. We went up there, and we looked around, and actually this was right on the New River. And the New River is and the Nile is the only two rivers in the world that run to the north. And we checked around the New River, and some places we got a 3-paw type of paw print of some sort. I couldn't recognize it. It wasn't a dog. Wasn't something I really had recognized, and it was pretty good size. But to tell you whether it was a lizard print of a lizard man or something like that,
right?
That I couldn't say for sure. But if now something like that, hey, can it be extraterrestrial? Yeah, I think it could be. I just don't. I think that if we got an advanced alien world somewhere else, I don't think they're going to come here as Bigfoot or a lizard man, but that's just me, though.
I happen to agree with you, my friend. It doesn't make sense. And you know what? A lot of things in these areas that you and I deal with when it doesn't start making sense, this is when I have my little spidey senses going, something's not right here. Gary, stand by. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Exonation, send me an email. Tell me what you think. Are you a believer or are you a skeptic? My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. And Gary and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Thomas Jefferson was a Burgess of 27 when he met Martha Wales Skelton, a 22-year-old widowed heiress who was fondly called Patty by her family. They were married on January the 1st, 1772, and they took up residence in a cabin on the building site on top of a Virginia mountain that Thomas had named Monticello. As Thomas and Patty slowly built their first version of the great house at Monticello, the Revolutionary War was heating up. Patty, with difficulty, bore 5 children, but only 2 girls survived. Thomas's political career developed to the point where he was often away from home, but after he authored and signed the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia, he resolved never again to leave his wife. He was elected the governor of Virginia, just as that state became the Revolution's last battleground. The Revolutionary War ended in 1781, and Thomas gladly retired altogether to my family, my farm, and my books. But Patty continued to want to bear her treasured husband a son, and late in the summer of 1782, she died of kidney failure at the age of 33, 4 months after having borne yet another girl. Thomas was so devastated by her death that he never remarried. He mourned her for the rest of his life, even as he helped to frame the peace in France and then became the first Secretary of State, the second Vice President, and the third President of the United States. This story is true. Thomas Jefferson was such an obsessive letter writer and record keeper that we know where he was and what he was doing nearly every day of his adult life. Every significant thing he says in My Thomas comes from his contemporary writings. My Thomas by Roberta Grimes is now available at Barnes & Noble, Costco, Target, Books A Million, Hudson Booksellers, Kmart, Walmart, Sam's Club, Walgreens, CVS, and online at Amazon.com. You can visit Roberta Grimes online at www.robertagrimes.com.
The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State-certified occupational school, training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com.
Unwilling to be the government's deadly assassin, gifted psychic Kahara Mitchell went AWOL and ended up buried under rubble in the wake of a great tsunami. She regained consciousness far from Earth on the medical ship of a Daguerreonian intergalactic fleet. Has she been rescued or abducted by aliens? The Chalice of Carrie, Kahira O'Donnell's latest paranormal science fiction romance, is the passionate story of an Earth woman and her destined mates, twin kings from another galaxy. Kahara uses her gifts fighting alongside Lords Rom and Ra in a war that will determine the destiny of galaxies. The Chalice of Carrie by Kahira O'Donnell is now available at KahiraO'Donnell.com or at Amazon.com.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. What happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Annie Callahan, dedicated to negotiating a position for Earth within the Daguerreonian Coalition, had trained for 3 years to become an Earth ambassador. Yet, the very eve of her arrival at the capital ruling planet, she is claimed as destined mate to an oversized, mating-maddened vamp who swears he will never release her. Lord Aztaran, king of the Macian sector, has waited over 900 years for his destined mate. Having found her as an alpha vamp, he is unable to relinquish Annie, virtually holding her hostage until he can claim her. Yet Macians cannot survive without their mate's love. How could he strip her of her citizenship, her ambassadorship, and her freedom and expect to win her heart? With All That I Am by Kahira O'Donnell is the latest book in this exciting series, The Daguerreonian Chronicles, guaranteed to keep readers coming back for more. With All That I Am by Kahira O'Donnell is available on Amazon.com and KahiraO'Donnell.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Our guest this hour is Gary FOUTZ, and he's the founder of Unsolved Mysteries and Unknown Sightings. Gary has a team of 6 investigators that go out, and they do paranormal investigations of all kinds. They go out looking for Bigfoot, investigate sightings of UFOs, and much more. Gary, what, in your opinion, has been the most compelling investigation that you've ever been on?
Well, the Wytheville UFO sighting was the worst one, I guess, as far as our lives being in jeopardy. That's probably the worst one. And then as far as paranormal goes, I've been in a couple of houses that was definitely demonized or was some demons in there. I mean, there was no doubt in my mind about that.
Why don't you tell our listeners who may not have been listening to us the last time, because since you've been on, we've had a number of new affiliates and networks that are carrying the show. So tell us about that UFO experience.
Yeah, we was in Wytheville, Virginia. There was a UFO scare up there in the late 80s, early 90s, and I got involved in it at that time with a radio station, and we were supposed to went up there and set up in a camping trailer overnight, and we was wanting to see ourselves these UFOs that was being reported. And something happened about a week before that. The radio station said, no, we're not going to do this. Somebody had put the brakes on it. So I kept in touch with the gentleman that was involved. And then about 5-6 years ago, we decided to start going up there and investigating this. And we would meet with the gentleman in different places and get information. And somehow, some way, somebody knew where we was going and what we was doing the whole time. Now, the gentleman that we was talking to is a good friend, so I know that it wasn't him, or he wasn't turning around and telling somebody else. So we had seen some awful odd things going up there. We would see hundreds of dead birds laying on the side of the road. We would try to talk to the folks up there, and some people would talk, and some people was just real skittish and didn't want to say anything. So we decided that we was going to take 4 night vision cams and just go up there and just set up in a pasture field somewhere and see if we could go in all 4 different directions and hopefully not miss anything. And we had talked to a local farmer up there, and he gave us the okay. And so we went back up there, I think, 2 weeks later to definitely make sure everything was on. And when we was going down the route, I think it's Route 51 or 21 or something like that, it goes from Wytheville over to Independence. We were followed by a black SUV. Now, in Virginia, you're not supposed to have your windows totally tinted. And this SUV had tinted windows so dark that you couldn't even see through them. And that was my first tip-off. And then the black SUV was the second one. And we knew we was being followed, or we thought we was. And I told my investigator to pull over to the first store we come to, and he did, and this black SUV pulled in also and was about 2 to 3 car lengths or cars down from us. I got out, went to the store, bought something, come back out, got in the car, and I said, okay, let's see what happens now. And we pulled out. The black SUV was back on our rear end again. And then I knew we could be in for some trouble because we still had to go over a mountain yet to get to where we wanted to go. And there was actually a little mom and pop restaurant down the road, and we pulled over there, and I said, heck, I said, just pull over here and we'll see what happens. And we did, and black SUV did pull in, the same way it did up at the store. We both went in, got something to eat. We watched and watched to see if they were going to get out, and nobody got out of it. So when we were finished, we come back out, got in the vehicle, and before we left, I told my investigator, I said, the first driveway or road you come to, I said, just slam the brakes on, do a 360 if you can, and let's go back to Wytheville. And sure enough, we did that. The black SUV stepped on its brakes. We did see him step on the brakes like he was going to stop and turn around, but then when he saw we was heading back to Wytheville, he just went on down the road and apparently turned around, or maybe just didn't want to keep in pursuit then. But I really and truly think in my heart that if we'd went over that mountain, we wouldn't have made it on the other side.
Wow.
So, you know, somebody knew something, and, you know, I really, and Rob, I really think that this is a military thing. I don't think it's aliens from another planet. I think it's something the military was doing or trying out.
But in general, in your opinion, are the majority of UFO reports simply unidentified terrestrial craft, or are they craft from another planet?
I think some of them are military, and I really believe that there is other life somewhere else besides Earth. I've seen a UFO myself. We have a lake here, a large lake, and people do a lot of fishing. We was down there that night doing some fishing, and we was doing some night fishing, and I had, out of the corner of my eye, I knew something was behind me. I turned around, and there was this huge ball. It looked like the sun to me, and it was spinning around so fast, and it was not emitting anything. It wasn't spewing out anything. It didn't have a sound. Didn't make a sound, but it was the strangest thing. And the friend I was with saw it also. And this thing just sat there for about 2 minutes, and then when it took off, it was like it took off with the bat of the eye, and it was gone. I don't think that was military. I think whatever that was, and I don't think it was a lightning ball. Whatever this object was, I think was intelligent. I think that this wasn't something from this earth, and it's something I'll never forget. And some of the people actually that I've talked to up in Wytheville, one lady I talked to said that one of the UFOs come over to the top of her trailer, and she said that it was probably treetop high, and she said when she went outside, it was the most beautiful thing she'd ever put her eyes on. She said it had all the different lights and everything like that. But, you know, Rob, the thing that really sticks out about a UFO is people say, you know, they see lights, you know, going around or different color lights going off and on. Now, if this is an intelligent being from another planet and they're far more advanced than we are, why would they need lights going off and on their craft?
Good point.
So that has stuck in my mind a lot, too. But, you know, some people have seen them that didn't have any lights, but most of the reports say, yeah, you know, it had lights on it. It's just unreal, I guess, to me, to believe that somebody that intelligent would have a craft with lights going around it or blinking off and on it if they're that advanced, you know?
I do, and I agree with you. My big question is, and I never get, the answers to this question are so varied. Why do you think, if the governments of the world are suppressing the information about UFOs and ETs from other planets, other starships. Why do you think that this information is being suppressed, especially since there are so many people who are reporting the sightings of these craft?
Well, it goes back to cryptozoology. You have so many reports now of those, and then you got thousands upon thousands of reports of UFOs, and not all these people are crazy, Rob. They see something, and it's we don't know whether it's from this planet or whether it's from another planet, but whatever these things are has the capability of outrunning most of and maneuvering most of anything we have here on Earth. The reason I think they're keeping it from us is that, number one, I guess, mass hysteria, which, I guess if one or say 5 or 6 of you see it at the same time, or one of you see it at the same time, it's not as bad as telling the world, yeah, we're being visited by other people from another, universe. And then you have religious hysteria that could happen, I guess. I just don't think that people are really ready for it. Some say they are, and some want the president to, and the CIA, whatever, to come out and just say, either they exist or don't exist. Mm-hmm. It could be that, they're getting technology from these people, and maybe that's why some of the newer stuff and the stuff that I'm seeing is actually material or devices that someone from another planet has shown them how to make.
But isn't it possible that all this new technology was actually created by humans, that there are so many people out there who are so willing to believe that we are not alone, that the little green men or the little grays are going to come and save this planet from total annihilation, that they will believe anything in order to make their dream come true?
Oh, I think so. I want to believe that it's true, but mm-hmm. I still have that little bit of skeptic in me, I guess.
But is it being a skeptic, or is it being a realist?
A realist, I guess you could say, because let's face it. I mean, when we go out and we get a Bigfoot report, I'm going out there, thinking, okay, there's turkeys out here, there's bears out here. Mm-hmm. Now, is there a Bigfoot? I don't know, but, maybe we'll see one. I'm not going to go out and say, and come back and say, yeah, Rob, we saw a Bigfoot, and I really didn't see it, because a lot of people does that. I just can't do that. I think that to be a real cryptozoologist or a paranormal investigator, you've got to have a little...
Are you there? Where did you go? Hello, Gary. Gary, are you there? Well, this is rather a strange explanation. 1 second he's there, and the next moment he's gone. And according to our equipment here, he's still on the line. Gary, where are you? Did Gary get abducted by a UFO? Did Bigfoot get him? Strange things happen here in the X Zone. Well, we'll try and get Gary back for the final segment that's coming up in about 3 minutes from now. Gary FOUTZ is the founder of Unsolved Mysteries and Unknown Sightings. He's a native of Roanoke, Virginia, and he specializes in the investigation of cryptozoology, paranormal events, as well as UFOs. He's been in this field for over 40 years and has had some. Yeah, tongue wants to go one way, the brain says go another. It's one of those days here. And he's had about 40 years experience, having had some very interesting cases. The last time Gary was on the show, we talked about the Wytheville, Virginia sighting of about 3,000 reports of activity. Now, let's see. Let's see if Gary's there. Gary, are you with us?
I'm with you, Rob. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
Oh, I was telling the Exo Nation that maybe you got abducted by extraterrestrials or, Bigfoot got you.
Well, I thought maybe the CIA had cut the wires out here as well.
No. Everything is good. In fact, Craig was just getting ready to call you back when you called in, so that's great. Hey, listen, buddy, you and I have to take our final break for this hour, but thanks very much for joining us, and thanks very much for calling back in. I was just telling the Exo Nation about the Unsolved Mysteries and Unknown Sightings group that you founded, and you presently have 6 investigators, and you investigate all reports of cryptozoology, paranormal, and UFOs. Gary, stand by. We'll be back on the other side of this break as we wrap up this hour here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. We come to you Monday through Friday from, let's see, well, it depends where you're listening, on the Mutual Broadcast Network. We start at, 6 p.m. Eastern, which is 3 p.m. Pacific. And here in the East, we start airing at 8 p.m. Eastern and go until midnight. Gary FOUTZ is our special guest, and we'll both be back on the other side of this break as we wrap up this hour here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. If you enjoy reading a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love From Out of the Woodwork by William S. Peckham. Sean Kennedy, a Toronto contractor, buys derelict houses, guts them, and turns them into multi-family dwellings. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, a century house in ruins, and starts the renovation, the house fights back. He is visited by ghosts of owners past. His visions are triggered by touching an oak mantle, reading a faded letter, opening an old locket, or opening a brand new casket in the basement. These visions will take you on a trip across southern Ontario from Niagara Falls to Toronto to Kingston.
From Out of the Woodwork is now available in paperback and on your favorite electronic reader. To order your copy of From Out of the Woodwork, go to www.williamspeckham.com. That's www.williamspeckham.com. Welcome back, everyone. Gary FOUTZ is our special guest this hour. He is the founder of the Unsolved Mysteries and Unknown Sightings in Roanoke, Virginia. First of all, Gary, always great talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experiences with us. But let's talk about one of the most scariest ghost investigations that you and your team have worked on.
About the scariest one I think that I've ever worked on was the one house we went into, and nothing had been going on the whole night. Mm-hmm. We was there about, I guess, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and the lady there, she fixed us a cup of coffee, and we were standing there talking, and I hadn't took any drink of the coffee, and all of a sudden the cabinet doors and the doors in the house were just swinging open and shut as hard as they could.
Oh, Lord.
And I'm going to tell you, Rob, I was the first one out the back door. I don't remember what I did with my coffee. I don't know if I took it with me. It wasn't in the house when I got back in there. We had to get our equipment. But I'm going to tell you, that was a shocker to me. And then that's when, we once we got back and listened to the EVPs and everything, it was more demonic.
Really?
Than it was. Oh yeah, that place was eat up. We had another one near here,
mm-hmm.
and it was about as bad. We really got some really weird voices on an EVP session. We went up in the attic actually, and we did an EVP session there, and we found a picture of a little girl that probably dated back in the late 1800s, 1900s, something like that.
Right.
We got her voice on the digital recorder, and while we were standing up there doing an EVP session in the dark, it was 3 of us up there. There was a guitar sitting on a stand probably 6 to 8 feet from me, and it come off the stand and hit me up beside the leg as hard as anybody could, I guess, throw a guitar, and I'm like, it actually hurt. Right after it happened, we all 3 of us heard this voice, and it wasn't on the digital recorder. It was like somebody in that attic with us said, "Get out." And when he said "get out," or whatever it was said "get out," I went on down and got out of there because I didn't know what was going to happen next. But I mean, we actually did an investigation on that house 3 or 4 times to get as much information as we could, and the people moved out of it. And I think 6 or 7 other people had moved in and moved out of it since then. So, yeah, something's going on in that place too.
Gary, the time has come, my friend, when you and I have to say so long. But as I told you during the break, if anything startling happens in your neck of the woods, give me a call. We'll get you back on. And take care of yourself, my friend.
Okay, you too, Rob, and it's always a pleasure being on with you.
Sir, the pleasure is all ours. Exonation, Gary FOUTZ is our guest this hour. He's the founder of Unsolved Mysteries and Unknown Sightings, and always a pleasure having Gary on the show with us. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at the top of the hour as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Send me your emails. Tell me who you'd like us to have on the show, what kind of questions you'd like answered, and tell me if you're a skeptic or a believer. We'll be back on the other side of this break here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell. Don't go away.